Hi again, this is Tim at Falconite, bringing you another episode of Return to 1K. Today's match is going to be this Tier 1 standard match on the map Celeste versus Big Scramps here. This is going to be a Hawk versus Von Bolt match, so I guess let's just go ahead and jump into the map analysis for this match. As you can see, Celeste is I'd say it's a I guess medium-sized map. It's pretty dense. As you can see, it's got 48 properties. So that's a lot, considering that it's just this size and it can fit on the screen pretty well. So it's very dense. But it's also like not that big. Like just from this base. From both of these bases, there's this... Okay, so the way that this map sort of functions is you've got your two base side here, and then your one base, one airport side here. So this is more of your strong side pushing area. You would generally want to send forces from here south to try and overwhelm your opponent's weak side down here. And then, obviously, you want to delay your opponent as much as possible on your weak side. Maybe reinforce with a couple units from your strong side if needed. There's a lot of properties in the center as well that you can divert resources to in order to get an advantage that way, if you can afford it, depending on the I guess the way in which I don't know. But like, depending on how much where your opponent's forces are, you can easily front switch between the two areas. Well, I say easily. It'll take a couple turns, because the fun thing about Celeste is it's pretty short, but it's pretty wide as well. So these fronts are kind of separated, meaning that it's possible to front switch. It's very easy to front switch actually, and it's not even that bad to front switch, because while you're front switching you can harass your opponent's infantry in the center here and maybe support your own while moving towards your opponent's forces and just moving your forces into position to where they'll be useful. But other than front switching is something that you can do, but it's not like super optimal because of just how close these two production centers are to each other. Another area that's pretty interesting on this map is these two mountain range areas over here. There's a little bit of mountains over here as well, which are kind of interesting, but it's mainly these areas right here. And it's interesting because you can send an infantry from your weak an artillery from your weak side, and you can basically just play around these mountains very easily with just the artillery and infantry. Tanks too, if that's good. And then you can defend this area pretty easily with just that. I would not... The thing about this area is that it's not really that good to send in an offensive artillery, because your opponent has their airport right here. It might be okay to... This is actually one of the maps where where a missile from this side could actually maybe be viable, but I don't know if you really need it, because I think an anti-air in most cases is going to generally be better in this area for threatening your opponent's battlecopters and stuff. Because even though this map is pretty dense, I don't think that well, it'll get to what, 48, so like 24-ish income. So theoretically, you can see bombers coming out fairly regularly, even if you're at like a stalemate. So, yeah, this is an interesting map. But obviously, Von Bolt kind of crushes on this map because, well, let's take a look at the tiers real quick. Hold on. Technical difficulties here. So tier lists. So in standard, it's Hawk, Javier, Sasha, and Von Bolt. Von Bolt wins out day to day against all of these opponents. Just with because his extra, he gets 10 defense and attack every day, which is kind of crazy. So Javier with 1 comm tower, which this map, you're going to be generally constrained to 1 comm tower. If the comm towers switch hands, it's not going to... They're really not in play, because we're like right next to your opponent's strong side bases. So if you manage to get your opponent's comm tower, you've basically won anyways. So Javier isn't going to be able to take super advantage of his 2 comm towers for most of the match, meaning that he's going to be stuck to like 10-10, meaning Von Bolt has a firepower advantage over him. Versus Hawk, he has a defensive advantage over him. They're both going to be 20 in attack, but Von Bolt's going to have that extra defense, and then he's going to have an extra 10 firepower and defense against Sasha. So that makes it a little bit difficult on smaller maps. Or yes, like it looks big, but and it's pretty dense, but it's a pretty small map, all things considered. It makes it a little bit more difficult for these other COs to take advantage of it. Sasha is good because she can spam her little power to make up for the defense for that day-to-day bonus and prevent her opponent from gaining their superpower. So basically, Sasha can cuck Von Bolt's superpower indefinitely and then only be weaker on some days while having the extra income on a day-to-day basis. On a map like this, I feel like Sasha could work. It's just I feel like she's a little bit weaker than Von Bolt overall because I feel like on half of the days she's not going to be able to she's not going to be on par day to day. And I don't think that the extra income is going to necessarily make up for it. It'll be an extra 2,000 about income at a stalemate every day, so like that's not insignificant. It's enough to be like a bomber and all infantry at a stalemate with Sasha, which is nice and all, but I don't think it's necessarily going to matter too much. Javier, the thing about Javier is he makes it so that he can push into this area a little bit easier because he gets that indirect defense. But overall, day-to-day, he's just going to be slower. He's going to be worse off. His powers are a little bit more flexible than Von Bolt's, though. I feel like overall his powers are better, but like the map is small enough that it's not going to matter too much. And then Hawk. Hawk is interesting because this is a pretty high value map, and Hawk likes high value maps because that makes his superpowers more effective. But it is also small enough that he's going to have a hard time day to day against Von Bolt's defense. So that's overall why Von Bolt has like 57% win rate compared to everyone else's 50. And I don't think that anyone else really has a significant advantage over each other. In this match, I picked Hawk against my opponent's Von Bolt, and we will see the effect of that in the replay. So I guess let's just get started with that. So, starting out here with some infantry moves, obviously going for the secondary base first and foremost. Yeah, so, and also going for this city as well because it's on the way to the airport. Not that it matters too much, but it's also like a bit further closer to the action, which is why you want to move your infantry over here to start out with, as opposed to moving them back with your first infantry move. Going for an early recon over here, actually. We'll see if that pays off super well. I forget if it does or not. And moving in with all the infantry and stuff here, and I'm starting off with a tank over here as well, because I'm just basically starting off getting as much pressure as I can, building as much pressure as I can on my strong side over here to try and overwhelm his airport side as soon as possible, because that's generally what the game plan is if you can do it. Of course, I'm going against Von Bolt, so that might be a bit tougher of enough nut to crack here, but we will see. So I'm moving in with my recon here. So far, not really threatening anything that matters just yet, because his infantry are like all out of range of these properties, but it is covering a bunch of properties in this area. And he can't really move in with his infantry super safely quite yet. Getting the artillery out here as well, near these mountains. As you can see, he's actually... no, we're on par. We're basically on par in caps, except I think I'm a little bit ahead maybe because I have the comm tower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'd say we're about on par in caps for now. He goes for his tank. So I've got my tank here, basically just to back up my recon, and my recon is here to spread out his infantry. So yeah, he's going in with the artillery on his weak side here as well, which it's effective enough because it's backing up the infantry here, but it might be as you will see, it might be a bit of a misplay on his part. I'm actually going for the artillery on my strong side as well. So, kind of matching here. And the battlecopter comes out. So, as you can see here, he's going to get this cap, but then he's going to kind of have to back off a little bit. This city is very hotly contested on both sides, so it might be a bit... oh, he's actually going for the anti-air here. Which is okay. It can be fine. It's just I've got the artillery in the area, I got the recon in the area, so it's not like the best thing for here. But I am holding off on moving in with my battlecopter just yet. And then I'm fronting a little bit, backing up a little bit around here with the artillery. It's guarding my tank sort of from his other tank. I'm not sure if it's the best line because he's going to be able to just move in like that. But he can. The good thing about this line is that he can't break through here and overwhelm me with his second tank. If he attacks with his tank here, he's going to lose it, and he's not going to be able to follow up with his tank on the artillery at all. So, as you can see overall, I am down quite significantly in value. He's going to be like 20k ahead of me, and he is ahead of me in the income game as well right now. So far, I'm behind quite significantly. Which actually, I'm gonna be completely honest. When you're playing Hawk versus Von Bolt, that's totally fine, as long as you're sort of around the same spot in the capture game, and you're not behind too much. Hawk can come back from this fairly easily. That freaking 1 damage from the recon. I should have just moved it back here probably, but I wanted to make sure that he wasn't threatening me at my airport at all with that. Where did I move my battlecopter? Yeah, I'm moving my battlecopter a bit more centrally, making him build a second anti-air and waste some money there. But right now he's ahead like 2 properties, which is not insignificant. And he's actually threatening my property here as well, so. Moving in here, taking a lot of damage as well, actually overwhelming this quite a bit. But he is leaving his airport a little bit open over here. Of course, he has tanks here, but we're not going to be able to wrap back around. So I move in like that to block up his tanks, and then I move in with my other units to sort of threaten that area, try to push him away. Because he's not going to be able to wrap around. So my anti-air is perfectly fine here, and then my artilleries can push relatively well, I guess. And then here I'm moving in on his infantry, wiping that out, and then moving my recon back for healing. So as you can see here, actually no, at the end of this turn we're going to be around the same amount. We're going to be about equal in unit value. Actually no, that's not true. He's going to be about a turn ahead of me in unit value at the end of his turn. But I am a little bit ahead in income for now. He built a rocket here, which is, I think it's pretty good to. It's okay for pushing into this area. Because he can overwhelm the artillery, and it's good for pushing on the strong side, I guess. But we will see how effective it actually ends up being. Moving in here is pretty effective, I would say. Because he's going to be able to flip this potentially. So that'll be good for him. Moving in here, kicking him off of this. Maybe should have probably attacked. Oh wait, they're both on launches. So that's good. Never mind then. So I'm making a little bit of shift toward the center here with these forces, sort of giving up the airport for now, because he doesn't have any infantry in the area to start capping it, so I'm not too worried about that for right now. And then I move in here and interrupt that cap as well. So far overall, I feel like this is a sort of where you want to be as Hawk. Like obviously you don't want to be behind as much, but like it's something that's perfectly fine. But I go for a medium tank here to sort of capitalize on the fact that he doesn't have that many. He has a bunch of light units over here that I can just try and push through. Overall, I think medium tank's probably going to end up being better than the rockets on your strong side, but we will see. Because I feel like these rockets were pretty effective. He's using them to threaten this area out quite a bit, so that's not bad. Kicking me off of that, but like he's leaving it really exposed. Well, not super exposed because he's got the rockets zoning that out actually, so never mind on that. Join capping here, but he's not going to be able to like take this, I don't think. Moving in with the medium tank here, and he built a bomber actually, which I think is like, I think it's an okay move since I brought off the medium tank. And I'm gonna have to be pretty careful here, just to make sure that all my units here are covered by anti-air, so that he doesn't have an opening to move in with his bomber at all. And then I commit both of my tanks here because he's gonna be able to take a shot off on it, one of them anyways, with his rockets. So I don't really care too much about what he does here. I'm sort of zoning against his bomber. Well, his bomber can't really do anything here yet. So yeah, that's so far so good. He's making another push over here, kicking me off of this city. This city, I don't remember if it actually ended up being captured by anyone ever. But we're tied on income now, so far, like, these cities, and then I got this one as well. But like, no, he's moving in with his bomber into the center here, so he's threatening a lot of things. Very good play, but on his part. I actually push in here I think I'm doing this mainly to try and get up to my superpower and make sure that I can grab that before he gets his. So I grab that and then I pop my superpower here, which is going to be pretty instrumental. Here he's got a weakened bomber, which is going to be a little bit less effective. I can one-shot it with probably even this infantry artillery, right? I mean anti-air. Actually, no. That's interesting. That just goes to show how strong Von Bolt's day-to-day defense is, actually. So, but now he's gonna have his superpower, so I'm gonna have to work in order to counteract that. And I remember spending a lot of time on the move planner for this. I choose to sort of abandon these units, like not really abandoning it. I'm kind of just abandoning this tank, which is would probably be dead anyways due to how many units he has in this area. So I sort of abandon it, and then I get the second anti-air here. If you didn't know what I was going for here, it might look a little bit confusing, but as you can see here, I was trying to bait out his superpower on these two units. Usually when you're playing against Von Bolt, it's good to build a medium tank just to bait out his superpower, because then it's really good to have it on like a city like this, so that it'll heal by the time it's back in the because it's gonna have a turn in which it heals and is gonna be out of the fight anyways for a turn. And then, yeah, so it's going to be basically at full health by the time, in a second anyways, so it'll be pretty good. He actually gets a nice shot off on my tank here, which, I kind of had figured that it'd be done anyways. He's got this tank here to follow up anyways, so, yeah. It was dead either way, but he's making at least a little bit of effective use of his bomber. Taking out this guy, obviously, as well. Taking a shot on my infantry here, but so far his rockets isn't being too effective. Moving in with the battlecopter here, actually, to try and push in like so. And I actually think, no, I don't. But I could have moved in and BM'd his anti-air with my battlecopter if I wanted to, but he's got this other anti-air here, so I can't really do that. Moving in here, not really expecting to get that, but like threatening it anyways. It's a free turn capture, potentially. And I'm moving in over here with my infantry to sort of threaten the cap on his anti-air. I mean his airport as well. And I have the anti-air here to back it all up. So far so good. I would maybe have liked to have more infantry in this area, but oh well. And as you can see, the unit value is a lot closer now. At the end of his turn, it's going to be around even. So that's sort of what Hawk kind of wants to do. He wants to draw the battle out as long as possible to get as many superpowers as possible and just take advantage of that every day, while Von Bolt sort of wants to overwhelm you with his day-to-day. But if he can't overwhelm you with his day-to-day, and that actually did a ton of damage as well. Like, look at how much damage this does. It has 8 health. Well, actually, that's 6. But it's still basically neutering my battlecopter here. Of course, I can, I guess, move it back for heals if I want to, but, like, whatever. So he's moving in with all of his units over here as well. Moving in with a battlecopter here, I think. Yeah, so I move in with my medium tank here to cut off his anti-air, so he can't really move in against that. And then I move in with the infantry here to guard this cap as well. Sort of making it gains over here. Threatening the cap on his airport here, and then moving in with the artillery to sort of guard it, so he can't really move in. Well, he can't move in with the medium tank anyways, but if he moves in with his tank, it's going to die for sure. And then sort of just wiping out some of his units over in this area as well. I have my artillery here. And then I'm just building some extra units to try and capitalize on if he maybe went for a counterattack in this area. In hindsight, I maybe should have bought another anti-air, because like if he moves in with his bomber is still going to be able to do a ton of damage to my anti-air if he moves in against it. And there's not going to be too much that I can really do about it, but whatever. Yeah, he's still going to be able to move in like that if he wants to next turn. So he moves in with his anti-air here against my recon, and then he just goes ahead and resigns. He messaged me after the game saying he moved in with the wrong unit at this point, which, like, if he had moved in with his tank, he would have definitely killed my recon, so a bit of a misstep on his part here. And yeah, I'm not sure how much it matters overall. Well, I guess it matters a good amount, because so he's got his rockets here, which have been doing nothing all game except sort of zoning me out of this area. But since I already have this property capped, these properties capped, I don't really care as much. But I think what he was sort of going to do was move in with his tank, right? Let's go to battle plan, blue planner actually. So he'd move in with his tank, take out this guy, and then he'd move in. Well, I don't know if he can do anything with this anti-air really, but he can't do anything with this artillery. He can move in. Well, that's why I was kind of confused why he just did that, because he's got his artillery here, which he could have used to finish off the recon if he wanted to. I think he might have been able to actually. Well, actually, that's more of a row. That's something I didn't really expect. But with the anti-air and the artillery, he would have been able to just knock that down. So I don't know why he necessarily resigned. I think it's just he felt that the tide was turning against him eventually, and I would eventually overwhelm him. And just looking at it, there's not too much he can do here. Well, there's some stuff he can do. He can delay me for another couple of turns. So he can move into my infantry here and delay the cap here for like a turn maybe. Although if honestly, he could move in with like his anti-air here, finish off with his weakened tank, and then move in with the tank as well to kick me off of this property entirely. And that would have been fine as well. So you would have been able to knock me off of here. You could have delayed the cap on the airport for a turn at least, and that would have been enough to be able to move in with the medium tank and another tank if you wanted to. So I feel like this might have been a bit of a premature resign, but he wanted to anyways. Let's go through the rest of his move actually, because I feel like he would have been able to well, whatever. I guess he just didn't want to, and that's fair as well. Yeah, you can't actually one-shot that with his bomber, but he would have been able to do a good amount of damage in a push here, down here. So honestly, I feel like this is a bit of a premature resign on his part, but whatever. It's that's part of the game actually as well, is making sure you don't get too demoralized by simple mistakes like that. Like this was definitely a salvageable push. The only issue for him, I feel, is it would be kind of just be delaying the inevitable, because I think I'm ahead. Yeah, I'm ahead in income anyways. So because I'm playing Hawk, I'll be able to just overwhelm him eventually. But and just looking at the map positioning, I'm fairly ahead in everything. I'm 10 units ahead in unit count as well anyway, which would have probably been down to like maybe 5 or 4 after the end of his turn. I might have been ahead, or it would have been a bit closer to even, so because he would have been able to do a pretty good push down here, but oh well. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what I'm going to be doing next week. So next week is going to be actually tier 1 fog. A lot of tier 1s this recently. It's going to be on this map here as assassins. Honestly, kind of a Von Bullet map as well, so neither of these are optimal, but I feel like Hawk's going to probably end up winning the day over Sasha. Well, obviously he did for reasons because Sasha versus Hawk, but you'll be able to see that matchup a little bit. Although it is a bit more questionable than you might think. But yeah, that's going to be next week's match tune-ins next Sunday for that. Do the like, subscribe, and other nonsense things if you want. Other than that, I am out. So I will see you guys then.